Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So here's another deck profile for you guys today. This time it's on Tri-Brigade. I apologize for the delay. The deck was already ready and everything. It's just that, unfortunately, my old tripod broke. So I had to go out and find a new one. And did find one, but unfortunately it was missing pieces. So I had to take that one back. And then I decided to go to Best Buy to see what other options there were. And thankfully, I actually found one I really liked. It's a little bit bigger than my old one, but the cool thing about this one is that it's more adjustable and I can get better angles now for my deck profile. So from here on out, all my deck profiles, are going to look a lot cleaner and not as zoomed in as much. So like, yeah, I really like what this one can do. And yeah, you guys are going to experience the first time with this new tripod. And hopefully from now on, my deck profiles will become that much more enjoyable. But anyway, Tri-Brigade is a deck I haven't really picked up in quite a while, and actually quite a good reasons. It just wasn't that good anymore because, Kashtira was in the format. Then there was also the issue with full power Tearlements. We had that tier 0 format. So yeah, Tri-Brigade has just been sitting on shelf for quite a long time. But since, Tearlements got hit substantially, the deck is still very good. It's still very playable, but at least it's not as potent as it was back then. And then with Kashtira, they've received several hits too. And the biggest one being a Rise Heart. A Rise Heart was like the biggest dent to this deck because, if everything gets banished, I can't really use my card effects. So yeah, but now that, the format has shifted, I think Tri-Brigade is actually pretty good now. It's as far as a rogue or sleeper deck, definitely something to try out. But anyway, I'm playing pure Tri-Brigade. I wanted to do Zodiac Tri-Brigade, but I decided against it simply because, you do have to commit a lot of extra deck space just for 4 Xyz monsters, and without Dryden, just wasn't really worth playing anymore. Who knows, maybe it might come back one of these days, but it's up for debate, really. But anyway, starting off with the main deck, playing 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Fractal. This is primarily your main starter. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to send an additional level 3 or lower beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monster to the grave. And yeah, it's just basically Foolish Barrel. And also, all the Tri-Brigades have this gimmick where you basically banish any beast warrior, or winged beast monster from your graveyard to special summon a link monster with a link rating equal to the monsters you banished. This is just a good way to cheese out certain link monsters that have a very specific material to summon them with. And yeah, but the downside to this is that you can't revive those link monsters because they weren't technically link summoned properly. But again, yeah, they all generally have this effect. Moving on, 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Kit. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you basically get to Foolish Burial yet another beast warrior or winged beast monster. In which case, your main target's going to be 3 copies of Tri-Brigade Nerval. Nerval is crazy because this is basically one of your main searchers, so if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 additional Tri-Brigade monster from your deck to your hand. So yeah, a good way to get a Tri-Brigade Fractal, another Tri-Brigade Fractal to your hand. Next up, 2 copies of Tri-Brigade Karis. This card is, you only need this at 2, by the way, it's just an extender piece. But you can discard 1 other card, special summon it, and then, yeah, like the same gimmick, you can banish a beast warrior, or winged beast monster to perform a link summon. And yeah, that's basically all it's for. Next up, 3 copies of Rescue Cat. Of course, this is the pre-errata text, but for those who are familiar with the errata text, basically does the same thing. You special summon 2 level 3 or lower beast type monsters from your deck in defense mode, and also their effects are negated, and that's the current text. But yeah, actually no, I don't think they have to be in defense mode. I'll double check, but yeah, but the point is that their effects will be negated. But yeah, Rescue Cat is great to open up with, and even if it doesn't resolve, if it gets hit with an Ash, it's not the worst thing because again, as long as you have any of the other 3 Fractal, preferably, you can still kick off and just get your graveyard set up for everything you need. And to round up our engine, 1 copy of the Fabled Cerberus. If this card is discarded, you can special summon it. So basically a good discard fodder for your Karis, and then it just brings itself back. And the whole point of this is simply to go into Herald of the Arclight because it is a tuner monster. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. All right, so now moving on to the hand traps. Playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Still one of the best hand traps right now, especially more so in this format. 3 DD Crow. This card is crazy, this format, because again, Unchained is one of the best decks now. So as long as you hit their I forgot what it's called, but I believe it's the blue one that you want to hit. Yeah, this card can devastate them. But they do have ways to revive their cards. So as long as you keep getting rid of the resources, yeah, Unchained is gonna have a rough time. It's pretty solid against Pearly, as long as you get the right spell card. Uh, it's also pretty solid against the Jack Atlas deck, pretty strong against Branded so long as you know which targets to hit, and so forth. Like, yeah, DD Crow's just pretty flexible. Yeah, it's, you know, Bystials, they give you a body, but unfortunately, like, if they only target light and dark monsters, whereas DD Crow can basically hit anything. So, yeah. 2 copies of Drone Lockbird, still pretty solid this format, because, you know, there are a lot of search-heavy decks, but just bear in mind, there are decks that can play around this, especially because if they just activate their effects on draw phase, yeah, Drone Lockbird is, like, just can't do anything during that time. 2 Nib, you know, like, it's pretty good, but it has to be for the right matchup. If there's a deck that can basically dodge Nibiru, then, you know, that's the only times where it's actually bad. But it's an easy card to side out if you feel like it's just not that effective. Same thing with Drone Lockbird. Like, if there's a deck that can basically play around that, you know, it's not too bad. Now, Drone Lockbird can hurt you too, so as long as you leave at least 1 copy for your crossout, then you should be fine. I am playing 1 effect failure for that reason too, because, like, yeah, like, everyone's on imperm, so, like, yeah, it's like in case if someone hits me with an imperm, I can just cross out it. But if there's that 1 effect failure in someone's deck, that can easily throw me off. So I just want to be prepared for that. But anyway, yeah, that pretty much rounds up our monster lineup. All right, so for spells, and if you guys already know, this is a very monster heavy deck, but, you know, again, easy to side out stuff if I need to. But again, with the spells, you know, playing 3 copies of Tenki, it's Rhoda, so you might as well just play this at 3. 2 Triple T, 2 Crossout. Was thinking of running a 3rd one, but I just didn't have the deck space for it, so I think 2 is just fine. Plus, I am running 1 Called by the Grave, so you're essentially playing, like, well, technically 5 copies of Called by the Grave, because Triple T counts as that. 1 Foolish Burial, you know, just in case if I don't open up with a Fractal, at least I have another way to get things started. 3 Imperm, and the only other 2 trap cards I'm playing is Tri-Brigade Revolt. This card's crazy because, you know, it brings back, it's basically soul charge for your Tri-Brigades, and then immediately on resolution you get to perform a link summon. So great way to get into cards like Shirig, the Ominous Wind, just to disrupt your opponent. So, and that's the key of this deck, is like you want to try to disrupt your opponent as quickly as possible, and just to keep them from really playing, and yeah, just sort of OTK them. All right, so that rounds up our main deck. For the extra deck, it's pretty self-explanatory. 3 copies of Shirig, the Ominous Wind. This card's crazy because because if this card is special summon, or if a Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast is special summon, you can banish 1 card on the field, and this does not target. Now, back in old builds, you used to play this at 2, an occasional 3, depending on, like, which variation you were going for. But since we're playing pure, definitely want to play this at 3. And yeah, this card's crazy. And of course, if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand, whose level is less than or equal to the number of banished Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters you have. So yeah, just bear that in mind. 2 copies of Tri-Brigade Fear Jet. Definitely one of my favorite ones, simply because during your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your hand. Also, you cannot use monsters as link material or Winged Beast monsters. Shoot, sorry, I got lost in the text. You cannot use monsters as link material for the rest of the turn except Beast Warrior, Winged Beast monsters, which honestly, that's not a problem considering what we use. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to draw 1 card and then place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of the deck. So basically, it just helps you mulligan a card for something that's kind of already dead, or just like, yeah, and just draw into something you actually do need. 1 Bearbrum. This basically what you use to get access to your Revolt. So if it's sent to the graveyard, yeah, you can add a Tri-Brigade Revolt. 1 Tri-Brigade Rugal, the Silver Sheller. Just 1 of him, honestly. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast from your hand or your graveyard. So it's a pretty good Monster Reborn, but its effects are negated. Also, return it to the hand during the end phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can make all monsters your opponent controls lose 300 attack for each monster you control. So yeah, it's not too bad. Of course, it only lasts until the end of the turn. So kind of wish it were permanent, which is sad, but you know, it is what it is. And then from here on out, we got a bunch of 1-ofs, 1 Almirage, you know, since we do normal summon. 1 Scareclaw Lightheart. You just make this off of the effects of your other Tri-Brigade monsters, so that's the whole reason why it's in here. And again, it's just for additional link material. Same thing with the double Dragon Lords, you know, it's a Beast Warrior, so something you can make off of their effects. 1 Harpy Conductor. It was either this or Donner Dagger for Hire. I decided to go with this one simply because it is a wind monster, which is kind of relevant for one of my Link 3s. But also I like the fact that it has a built-in protection effect. So like if it were to be destroyed by battle, Or card effect, you can pop your Tanky, because once you've resolved that, you know, it's just going to be a dead end on the spell on Tribe Card Zone. So you can just pop that literally for free and, yeah, protect it. And 1900 is pretty sizable. But the reason why it's relevant for the wind attribute is simply because of this card, the Desperate Doom Eagle. Requires 2+ wind monsters to make this. Gains 2400 attack points while your opponent has no monsters in their graveyard, which may come up depending on the deck, but you're mostly going to use it for its quick effect. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. So like against Tearlament, if they attempt to, you know, perform a fusion summon or use one of their shufflers, you know, is a good way just to kind of like get them back for that and just like fizzle one of their effects. So like, but you mostly just want to use it to keep them from fusion summoning. And for Link 4s, you know, one Appaloosa. Very easy to make in this deck. Usually it always ends on 3 or 4 counters. And of course, one Axis Code Talker, you know, especially if I need to close out the game, just start clearing boards. Yeah, this card's crazy. And I already mentioned I am running the 1 copy of Herald of the Arclight. A great Floodgate card, especially against Tearlament, because, you know, they do send a lot from their deck to the grave. And also, it's a good way to also dodge Nibiru or just like cancel out a spell or trap that could basically like wipe your board or just start breaking your board. So yeah, Herald of Arclight just has a lot of good uses. And yeah, definitely something to try out. All right, now moving on to the side deck. Now for the side deck, I decided to dabble with it and try out different tech options. Starting off with 3 copies of Alpha, the Master of Beast. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But I like it because it's a good going second card. Its special summoning condition is not once per turn at all. So like as long as your opponent has their attack points, you know, surpass the monsters you control, in which case if you have no monsters, it's basically just a free Sidra. It's good because it basically can run over Baron to floor. And if you need to force out a Fenrir effect, you can basically use that too. So like, but the part that is once per turn is the effect where you can target itself, bounce it back to the hand, and one monster your opponent controls. So yeah, it's not too bad. Next, 2 copies of King Tiger Wangu, another tech option I'm trying out. This is primarily for birds, like because I have seen a Lyralist pop up from time to time, and yeah, this card just basically destroys birds. It also hurts the Jack Atlas deck too, because like it pops every freaking resonator. So like as long as they have no tuners, they can't really go into their synchro summon plays. So yeah, King Tiger Wangu ain't half bad if you definitely want to try it out. Again, I'm just testing it out, see how I like it. And if I don't like it, I can always cut it later. 3 Forbidden Droplet. I feel like this card is definitely a lot stronger now, again, with a Rise Heart being banned. Because, like, unfortunately, Droplet couldn't resolve if cards couldn't hit the graveyard. So, yeah, that's the downside behind it. But going second, you know, it's pretty strong. For, like, back row heavy decks, you know, 2 Twin and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. That's just a good card to, you know, force out negates. Change of Heart's not too bad either. And for, like, very specific matchups, D-Barrier, you know, like, Pearly, call Xyz. For any Synchro Heavy deck, just call Synchro. For Branded, call Fusion, and you're all set from there. All right, well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.